edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson, and today we try out the 2014 Subaru Legacy. Now, in the midsize sedan market, you obviously need to stand out, and the Subaru Legacy falls somewhere in between that. Now, the styling lines on this vehicle, and with most Subarus, is not drastic and really doesn't draw much attention. Now, looking at the profile of this vehicle, it's going to mimic a lot of kind of high-power vehicles, maybe even like the BMW 3 Series. But what I really liked about this vehicle, of course, it is the four-banger, meaning the four-cylinder under the hood, but it has that kind of lower fascia and a little bit of that sport design. Now, the Subaru Legacy is going to measure in about 187 inches overall and has a 108-inch wheelbase. Now, it is fairly short, just under 5 feet tall, and just within 6 feet wide. Now, by those numbers, of course, that's typical midsize, and really what I noticed on the inside is it really does have decent offerings for passenger comfort. Now, again, looking at the profile of the Legacy, to me it doesn't really stand out among the competitors. Now, of course, the BMW 3 Series really has nice drastic lines, and a lot of other sedans, like from Nissan, really have some curvaceous offerings. Now, here, to me, it's straight Subaru, where it's really not going to draw a lot of attention, but it will, of course, be your daily hauler and give you decent appeal. Now, what I love on this vehicle, like I said earlier, it does have that lower fascia for that added kind of sport look. And one thing I did notice that its ground clearance is very minimal. You don't notice right off the bat when you walk up to it, but when you get out of the vehicle, you really are almost at ground level. Now, looking further at the exterior of the Subaru Legacy, one thing you're going to notice is body color wraps the entire vehicle, with the only chrome found on the front grille, around the fog lights, and of course adorned around the windows. Now, this vehicle sits on 17-inch wheels, and one thing I did notice, again with that low clearance, is it kind of gives you somewhat of a rough ride and a little bit hard to get out as you really are right there at ground level. Now, the model we tested came with the base 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine that delivers around about 173 horses and 174 foot-pounds of torque. Now, it comes standard with a 6-speed manual transmission or the as-tested CVT automatic with the 6-speed manual-like mode. Now, what I loved about this four-banger is that it really kind of gets off the line, has a little bit of squeal, and of course this is all-wheel drive, so it does have the grip at the corners. Now, if you want a little bit more spirit off the line, of course, you can go with the 3.6-liter six-cylinder engine. That's going to deliver around about 257 horses and 246 foot-pounds of torque. Now, that comes standard with a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now, in comparison to fuel economy, of course, the four-cylinder is going to do better, around about 20 to 28 miles per gallon. Now, one of the first things you look at on a midsize sedan is leg room, and this vehicle does that quite well. Now, up front, that's around about 43 inches, and in the back, that's 37, and that's plenty of room for any full-size adult, and we actually squeezed 5 in here on the way to a golf outing. Now, besides interior comfort, another area you're going to be looking at is cargo volume on a midsize sedan, and the Legacy does quite well. Now, obviously, on a vehicle like this, you're probably going to make trips to the airport, everyday travels, or even to the golf course like we did. Now, we found it had plenty of room for 3 full-size bags, shoes, and other items, and it really handled everything we threw at it. Now, by the numbers, it's going to be around about 14.7 cubic feet. Now, one thing I do note on midsize sedans and other vehicles is that there's no real ability to just grab right here and pull on a handle and lift the rear trunk. You have to relate to the key, and it just makes it one more step. Now, once you pop the trunk, what you're going to find is its typical sedan offering with a modest opening here with a huge cavern back there. Now, if you want to more than double the space, you can pull on the corresponding handles here, and it will allow you to fold those back seats down. Now, my overall impression of the Subaru Legacy is that it's a decent offering in the midsize sedan market. Now, by the styling cues on the outside, it is straightforward Subaru with no drastic elements to really wow you, but nothing really to turn you away. Now, by the interior comfort, of course, it will deliver enough room for 5 people like we did on a golf outing, and there's enough legroom really to go around. Now, we talked about the all-wheel drive system of this model and basically allowing you to have that grip at the corners, which is great, of course, when you're doing that sport driving, and even better in those inclement weathers where you have slick conditions. Now, this vehicle, again, is real low to the ground, meaning it is a fall into the vehicle or climb out of like situation, and that's the only thing, of course, that may be a downfall for someone 6 foot tall like me. Now, that does for this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson, and we tried out the 2014 Subaru Legacy. Now, we love the fact that it was a four-banger under the hood, meaning you had a lot of spunk off the line, and of course you got that all-wheel drive system giving you the grip at the corners. Now, I'd like to thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior, and as always, keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.